Hello and welcome to the channel, Sudoku Sleuths. This is a brand new channel and this is the first debut video that we have on here. And we're going to specialize in this channel on solving Sudoku variants. So that's Sudoku puzzles that have a little bit of a twist on them with extra rules. And today's puzzle that we're going to take a look at the moment is a XV puzzle, and we'll touch on it in more detail. I hope you can enjoy watching some of these videos and solving these puzzles with me. What I'll make sure is that for each puzzle that we publish on this channel, that you've got a link in the description down below that would allow you to play this particular Sudoku puzzle with me, and hopefully you'll be able to enjoy it as much as I will. And with that being said, let's take a look at the rules for today's puzzle. So the puzzle is Colorado by Florian Wortman. So we've got, first rule here is normal Sudoku rules applies. So that means for every row, every column, and every box, we need to put in the digits 1 through to 9. And then for XV Sudoku puzzles, that seems like a pretty traditional set of rules. So cells separated by an X, like these two cells, sum up to 10. And cells separated by a V, like these two here, sum up to 5. Quite interesting here. All possible X's and V's are given, which these negative constraints can actually help in filling the puzzle up quite often, a lot more than you might think. And I often miss some of these negative constraints. So if you catch me being stuck for a while, most likely it's because I'm missing a negative constraint of some sort. Right, and given we have no digits in this grid whatsoever, we got one more rule here. The sandwich clue outside the grid, so that's this 11, shows the sum of the digits sandwiched between the 1 and the 9 in that row. So if we imagine this is a 1 and this was a 9, means that these three digits between the 1 and the 9 must sum up to 11. And that's it, that's all the rules. So let's get to solving. I will restart my time and let's get started. So I often find with XV puzzles that it's very helpful to color the X's, the V's, almost into low digits and high digits. Low because to add up to 5, you can really only do this in one of two ways. It's either a 1-4 pair or a 2-3 pair. But regardless, they're both small digits that are under 5. If you're after an X, though, you must have one low digit and one high digit. So let's say a 6, 7, 8, or 9, and it's paired up with a 1, 2, 3, or 4. One thing to note though with XV puzzles is the 5 is actually very restricted. You can't put a 5 on a V because that would mean it would have to be paired up with a 0, and with no more Sudoku rules that's not possible. Equally for an X pair or X domino, we can't have two 5s to make them add up to 10. That's also not possible. So let me just quickly color code the grid, and what I'll do is I'll use blue for low, and obviously given this is now a low, red for high. What I'll also do is, if you think about the digits that sum up to 5, 1, 4, and 2, 3, essentially there's only two ways you can do it. So if this is the digits 1, 4, this must be the digits 2, 3. So that I will color in a different one, and that will be green. Right, so that's negative constraints here. If this was green, and let's say this happened to be a 2-3 pair, you can see that this has to have a V between them in all of these dominoes, and because they don't, this can't possibly be green. This is in fact blue. Let's see if we can keep going with this for a bit longer. So what I'm doing here with this flash is, I know because the two greens are already taken in this box, that the two low digits in each of the X's must be blue. But I don't know where they are. So this is a blue-red pair, and so is this a blue-red pair as well. Okay. What else can we do? So I don't know what this is. That's blue-green. I also don't know what this is. That's blue-green. So you've got this two pair of green ruling out green from here. But for this X, it's either, it can't be two blues. Again, we've got that same negative constraint. We need to have a green. But the green isn't here. It's got to be here, paired up with a red. But actually just carrying on this idea of where does the greens go in box 2. So we've got greens in row 4, sorry, in column 4, greens in column 5 already down here. That's one green, so this has to be the second green. And actually, earlier I made this as 2-3 pair. We don't know what that is. So let me just quickly correct that. Okay, to try and find the remaining low digits in the grid, one thing that I can do is essentially mark down areas where there can't possibly be low digits to help us figure out what the rest are. So for example, in box 2, again, we've got two blues, two greens. We're all done for low digits. So we know these are not low digits, and I'm just going to mark these as gray. We don't know if they're a high digit or digit 5, but we know they're not low. And we're going to find many other examples of that. For example, row 3 here. This can't be low. This has to be a high, paired up with, we don't know yet. So we've got 1, 2, third one in this X domino, fourth one in this X domino. Therefore, this can't be 1. This can't be low, I mean. And then take a look at row 1 now. So we know there is 1 here, 2 as the second digit here. And then therefore, this both need to be low, 3 and 4. So these are low. This is high. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. This is unknown. And this has to be green, red flash. This is a blue, red flash. So to make more progress, we're going to have to start to disambiguate the various versions of blue. And, to use this as an example, we know that this blue and this blue are different, but right now they're the same. What you can do is use letters. So in the software, if you hit here on options, under the tool section, you'll see enable letter tool on. I have mine on. And essentially allows you to put letters into the grid instead of numbers. And I'm using letters here just because I don't know what the numbers are. I suspect we're going to need to use this sole clue that we have in terms of digits at the end to disambiguate the whole grid. So I'm just going to pick at random. This is an A. And I'm going to treat the digits as if they're the numbers 1 through to 9. So an A is, let's say, number 1 pairs up with the number 4. So that's the D. And it almost doesn't matter what you use here as long as you're consistent throughout the grid. And I'm just going to do this for consistency. That's B, D pair. So that's the C. Now, I'm also going to be consistent for the reds. So the C, for example, if A is 1 and then I is 9, C will pair up with the G, and you'll see me sort of being consistent around that as well, just to help us later down the line. Okay, and that you can see how that's actually helpful. So because this is the only, B can only be here, paired up with an H, this can't be an H, that's an F, that's a D, that's a B, and it helps us to now slowly but surely disambiguate this grid and actually figure out where are all the digits. Say digits, letters. We'll get to the digits part in a moment. So this is not I, not H. This is either a G or an F, which would be paired up with either a D or a C. And first digit in the grid at 10 minutes. So if you look at row 2, and I'm surprised I missed this all along, where does 5 go? So we said earlier 5s cannot go in X's, cannot go in V's, cannot go in X's, and this is the only place that a 5 can be. Now I'm just going to put in the letter E. It will help just to see what letters are missing, but for all intents and purposes, E's in this particular one is definitely 5. It's the rest of the letters that we don't know yet. So here is, what do we have left? Being fairly quiet right now, I'm hoping all the moves I'm making are fairly obvious and self-explanatory. Because of this A, this can only be a D paired with an F, and because the D is gone, this can only be an A paired with an I. Looking at this column, we need E, F, H, but this is not F. Therefore, the G is down here. Probably missing, yes. So whenever I get stuck, I start looking for negative constraints. And here's an example. C next to a G wouldn't be possible, otherwise we'd have to have an X. So this isn't a G, because we need to have a G in this box somewhere. This is a G, and this helps me figure out what this is. So that's C, G, because C is gone. This is not a BC pair. Well, let's just quickly finish these. This is an AD pair paired with an F or an I here. And let's just quickly correct colors. It's not A anymore. That's an I with an A. It's not here. So B can't go here. So that B can't go here because of the negative constraint. So B is actually quite restricted in this box. Over here, B is surprisingly restricted again in this box, and I'll explain why. So the obvious ones is Sudoku. B can't go in either in this row or in this column. Because this is an X, if this is a B, this must be an H where it conflicts. So really, there's only two places where there can be a B. It's in these two. Right, time to look for more negative constraints I'm probably missing. It'll be very helpful to figure out what the colors are for these. So we know this is a BD FH. So we know what all of these quadruple are, meaning we know what these two are. So they are E, I, and having an I here is actually quite helpful because let's have a look at this. So where does A go in this box? If A goes here, it's paired up with an I where it can't. Same goes for this X. If A is here, I would be here where it would conflict in the column. So A has to be here, meaning for rows 4 and 5, we're now full up on A's between this pair and this domino. So that's actually a D, A, I, and it will help us unravel this whole section. This has to be the B, because in the row you can already see A, D, C, and over here in row 4 you already have A, B, D, C. So this had to be the height. This has to be the B. That's an H, and we've done all the low digits. And have we? No. Still need to find the C and D in this box. So D is on either here or here. And C, helpfully, is either here, here. So C pairs up with a G. So nothing wrong with it being here. But it has to be here because there's nowhere else for it to be. So that's not D. That is F, H, B, C, G, C, G. Oh, I'm missing here, scanning, really letting me down. And we need an E, no, we need an I. D pair and an A, E pair. This is G, I pair. This is not G, I, G. This is surely starting to collapse now. We've only got one box really remaining to unravel. Tidy up the colors a little bit later. Let's see if we can just finish the last box here. So we know D has to be here, paired up with an F. We know the order of that. We know C has to be one of these two squares. B has to be in one of these two squares. And A is here. So the B goes with H, which it can't be. C goes with a G, which it can. Maybe. So what are we missing in this box? E, H, and I. So the I is here. E, H. This fixes up there. Right, there must be some sort of negative constraint that would help me figuring out some of these deadly patterns that we have here. So this can't be an F because there's a D right next to it. Where does F go in this box? This is the F. Here we go. What else have we got from here? B can't be next to an H without an X. So that's done all the low digits, so E goes in here, F and H, F, and that's all the letters in the grid. So let's take a look at row 7, where we've got this sandwich clue to hopefully help us turn all of this into actual digits. So first off, let's just replace all these with 5s. We know that's true. And we may as well correct their colors whilst we're here. I'm just going to color the last row only because it will help us see this a bit more clearly. And explain why in a second, why this is going to help us. Okay, so if we think about number 11, and remember it's a sandwich between 1 and 9, the maximum number of digits without number 1 that we can have that add up to 11 would be 3 digits. Because if we go with 4, 2, 3, 4, and 5, that adds up to 12, which is too many. So we're looking for a pair of digits, pair being an A and an I to represent the 1 and 9. That's a maximum of 3, but also a minimum of 2. You can't have a single cell Sudoku that's 11. So we know A and I are not 1 and 9 because there's far too many digits in between. B and H is not either because these are too low digits. So even if we pick the largest digits, 4 and 3, that's only 7, that's not 11. C is paired up with a G, which is also not possible because we've got 2 large digits with a single small one. So even if we take 1, 6, 7, that's 14 as a minimum, so it's not C. So hopefully that's a little bit clear. D is our 1 paired with an F, that's our 9, and that should help us finish the grid fairly quickly. H and C, so this can't be a 2 because it would have to be paired with a 2, 9, so C is 3, therefore B is 2, H is 8, G is 7, I would be 6. And there you go, that's solved for you in 25 minutes 38. I hope you enjoyed this puzzle as much as I have. It's a fairly logical solve. Once you get into the habit of using colors and letters, you can quickly crack these puzzles and solve them in a very logical manner. But just, if you don't mind, I need to just fix a few colors quickly. That looks correct to me. 9s. Super. Thank you very much, and please feel free to add any comments down below. And see you for the next puzzle. Thanks.